The noise of rushing footsteps echoed through the grand marble lobby of Whitest Stone Enterprises as sunlight spilled through its towering glass windows. The morning rush had begun. Executives in tailored suits gliding past with steaming coffees and AirPods in their ears, secretaries clacking away in heels, and amidst them all, a man with tired eyes and a mop in his hand, stood quietly in the corner. His name was Evan Cole, a 34-year-old single father and night janitor who had learned to blend into the background like part of the wallpaper. But that morning, fate had no intention of letting him stay invisible. Within hours, the janitor no one noticed would do something that would stop everyone in their tracks and change his life forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of good people, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts that need them. Evan's days began before dawn and ended long after midnight. He'd rise quietly in his small apartment on the edge of the city, preparing breakfast for his 7-year-old daughter, Mila, before school. Her laughter was the only light in the tired corners of his life. His wife had passed away 5 years earlier in a car accident that shattered his world, leaving him with a toddler and a pile of unpaid hospital bills. Since then, Evan had worked any job he could find. Mechanic, warehouse loader, janitor. Cleaning toilets and mopping marble floors wasn't glamorous, but it paid just enough to keep food on the table and shoes on Mila's feet. At Whitest Stone Enterprises, he was the man everyone overlooked. Yet beneath his quiet nature lay a dignity and warmth that even hardship hadn't erased. Every morning he'd wipe down the glass doors and watch the powerful stride past, wondering what it would feel like to live without fear of bills or exhaustion or being looked down on for what you wore. He never complained, though. Instead, he'd hum old songs while polishing floors, his mop moving in slow, rhythmic swirls that caught reflections of the rising sun. On one of those bright mornings, something unusual happened. As Evan finished mopping near the executive elevator, a young woman stormed out from the gold-paneled doors, her heels striking the floor with sharp frustration. She wore a white blouse tucked into a tailored navy skirt, her brown hair tied back with precision. Everyone turned slightly when she passed. Harper Quinn, the company's new CEO. Rumors said she was cold, calculating, a woman who'd clawed her way to the top after her father's death. But the woman Evan saw that day didn't look heartless. She looked cornered. Her hands trembled slightly as she scrolled through her phone, and her expression flickered with something that looked a lot like panic. She stopped right by the janitor's cart, unaware of him, muttering under her breath. This can't be happening now. Before Evan could look away, she spun toward him with desperate eyes. You, she said, her voice low but urgent. Evan blinked, gripping the mop. Me. Yes, you. I need a favor right now. Pretend you're my boyfriend. No. Pretend you kiss me for 7 minutes, please. The mop handle nearly slipped from his hands. Mom, I think. Please, she interrupted, her tone trembling with something raw. If you don't help me, I'll lose everything. Just follow my lead now. Before Evan could process the madness of it, Harper stepped closer, clutching his sleeve. Over her shoulder, he saw 2 sharply dressed men and a woman approaching from the elevator. Reporters judging by the cameras. In an instant, Harper's face shifted into a practiced smile. She leaned closer, her breath shaky, and whispered, "Just act natural." Evan stood frozen as flashbulbs exploded around them. Harper's hand slid gently to his chest. And she looked up into his startled face with a soft, affectionate gaze that didn't match the panic he'd seen seconds ago. He understood then it was an act. The reporters shouted questions. "Ms. Quinn, is this the mystery man you've been hiding? Is this why the engagement was called off?" Even heart-hammering remembered Harper's plea. For 7 surreal minutes, the janitor no one noticed became the center of a fabricated love story. He didn't touch her, but the way he looked at her, steady, calm, unshaken, made the lie look real. Cameras flashed, capturing an image that would ripple through social media before the hour was over: the CEO and the mysterious man from nowhere. When the reporters finally left, Harper let out a shaky breath and stepped back, her hands trembling. "Thank you," she whispered. "You just saved me from a scandal I didn't cause." Evan didn't know what to say. "You're welcome, ma'am. I should get back to work." But Harper stopped him. "Wait, what's your name?" "Ivan, Evan Cole, Ivan," please come to my office after your shift. I owe you an explanation." That was the day Evan's life shifted. Later that afternoon, he entered the top floor, a place janitors rarely saw. Harper's office was vast with floor-tube ceiling glass overlooking the skyline. She sat behind a sleek desk looking both powerful and painfully tired. She explained that her late father's company was being attacked from within. A rival board member had leaked lies about her love life to discredit her leadership. The story about a secret boyfriend had spun out of control. And when the reporters showed up unannounced, she needed someone, anyone, to make the rumor look harmless. Evan listened quietly, unsure why she was telling him so much, then she said something that surprised him. "I know it was unfair to drag you into that. You could have refused, but you didn't. You looked at me like I was human." Evan shrugged softly. "Everyone deserves kindness, ma'am. Even when they wear a $1,000 suit," though she laughed for the first time, a quiet sound that softened the sharp edges of her demeanor. Over the next few days, the photo of them spread online. People speculated wildly. Some called him a model, others said he was her new investor. No one guessed he was the building's janitor. To contain the rumor, Harper made an unexpected decision. She asked Evan to continue pretending to appear with her at a charity event for the company's foundation. "It's just one night," she said. "Smile for the cameras. Then you can go back to your world and I'll go back to mine." Evan hesitated. He didn't belong in her glittering world of chandeliers and champagne. But the paycheck she offered, a generous bonus, could pay Miller's school fees for an entire year, so he agreed. The gala night shimmered with gold light and laughter. Evan wore a borrowed suit, looking uncomfortable yet dignified. When Harper walked beside him in a silver gown, heads turned. But behind her polished grace, he could still see a woman trying hard not to crumble. Throughout the night, he noticed how the same people who smiled at her whispered cruelly behind her back. Too young for the role. Her father's shadow made her, probably using that man for sympathy. Yvonne's hands clenched. He'd endured a lifetime of being judged for his job, but watching her face harden against the same kind of quiet cruelty stirred something fierce inside him. When one board member sneered, "So Harper, this must be your charity project." Evan calmly replied, "Actually, she's the one saving this company from men who mistake arrogance for intelligence." The table went silent. Harper's eyes met his across the glasses of wine, filled with gratitude. That night as they left the gala, Harper walked beside him in the cool night air, silent for a long moment. Then she said softly, "You know, Evan, when you looked at me in that lobby, I thought you were just playing along. But tonight, you made me believe I'm not alone in this fight." Evan smiled faintly. "You're stronger than you think. Maybe you just needed someone to remind you." In the days that followed, Harper began to seek his advice, not just about her public image, but about people. She'd find him during his shift, asking how to handle conflict with her staff or what he thought of a community initiative. The janitor became an unlikely confidant to the CEO. Slowly, respect replaced the barrier between them. She began joining him on morning rounds, learning how every worker, from the security guard to the cook, kept the company alive. But the truth couldn't stay hidden forever. One afternoon, an online article exposed Evan's identity. The CEO's boyfriend is actually a janitor. Within hours, the story went viral. Harper's office filled with calls demanding her resignation for unprofessional conduct. Board members called it a scandal. Evan was told to pack his things. That evening, Harper stood before a crowd of flashing cameras and microphones. Her voice didn't tremble this time. "You're right," she said, looking directly into the cameras. "Ian Cole is a janitor, a hard-working single father who has shown more integrity, kindness, and courage than anyone else I've met in this building. If that makes me unfit to lead, then maybe this company needs a new definition of leadership." The room fell silent. Evan watched from the side, heart pounding. For the first time in years, someone had stood up for him. Days later, Harper called him back, not to fire him, but to offer him a promotion. "We're starting a new department," she said, smiling. "Community and employee relations. I want someone who knows how to see people, not positions. You've already been doing that better than anyone." Evan stared at her speechless. "I don't have a degree." "You have something rarer," she said gently. "A heart people